Well, let's talk about the content creation and the mechanisms behind it then. What does volume mean to you? And what is the size and shape of it? Meaning,
Totally.
what type of content in terms of, short or reel or image post or short video or longer form video, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, love this question. So if anyone's listening, I hope they have their pen and piece of paper out because I'm about to info dump. They might need to put this on like 0.75 speed so they can slow it down and write it all down. So first, let's talk about frequency. How much should you post specifically on Instagram? I'm going to answer that by not giving you a number, but by giving you the fact, which is the more you post, the more you grow. There's a direct correlation with no upper end limit of post frequency to growth rate. Yes, there are even examples of accounts that are posting hundreds of feed posts per day, and they are seeing massive growth, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers per month at that upper extremity. Now, that's the fact, but of course, we're all human beings. Some of the listeners are content creators. Most of the listeners are business owners. Some of them are creating content for their business, which is a lot of balls to juggle. Some of them have their content team who they're going to be sending this podcast to listen after this. But regardless, it's important that we ask ourselves, what can we sustain? And the frequency that you can sustain is going to be different based off of your goals, your season of business, your season of life, your capacity, all of those different things. Ultimately, though, I say start with what you can sustain, whether that's one post a day, one post a month, 5 posts a day. Start with what you can sustain, and then challenge yourself to optimize and create systems and use artificial intelligence to work more efficiently. Not to work more hours on Instagram, but to work smarter, not harder, and increase your output without having to increase your input.
Well, let me ask you a question about that real quick. So more you post, more you grow. Are you better off? And then you said maintain the cadence, right? So if you're going to post 5 times a week or 5 times a day, whatever it is, maintain it. So the first question is, do you have to maintain the cadence? Or is that more about are you going to get penalized for not maintaining the same cadence? Or is that more about just keeping your fucking head together so that you don't try to do too much too quickly?
Part of it is definitely about keeping your head together. The algorithm will not punish you for changing your frequency. If you post, an extreme amount one day, 15 times on one day, and then you go a few days with 0, the algorithm won't necessarily punish you for that. But I think it's important to replace the word algorithm with the word audience. If you have followers and you're posting 15 times in one day, that's a lot of posts for them to consume, especially if the 5 days before that you hadn't posted at all, and the 5 days after that you're not posting at all. So from an audience perspective, I would rather have you space it out. I also think from a creator perspective, it's easier to post 3 times a day for 5 days in a row than 15 times on Monday and then burn yourself out for the rest of the week. But yeah, I think generally speaking, algorithmically, you will not be punished. Audience-wise, it may hurt you if you suddenly flip the switch. You're listening to this podcast, you're fired up, you're used to posting once a day, and tomorrow you start posting 7, 8 times a day. You're probably going to overwhelm some people. So slowly scale it up or scale it down.
Awesome. So you might be on the trajectory to answer this one anyway, but I'm going to jump in with it. So you mentioned, the idea of somebody putting 100 posts a day in their feed and getting growth from it. There are a lot of different ways you can chop things up, and you could do a longer post that has several points in it that are of value, or you could do, a 3-second clip or a 7-second clip, and then just do a shitload of those. Are you better off doing, a post a day that has 7 points in the post, or 1 point with 7 videos throughout every single day?
On Instagram, the answer would be 7 different posts with 1 point per post. And that's because Instagram really prioritizes short form content. A lot of people, myself included, were wrong by hypothesizing that over the next year or so, and this was in 2024 when I was wrong, hypothesized that, hey, Instagram's going to lean into long form content. TikTok has leaned into long form content, and Instagram's going to copy them. Instagram hasn't followed suit. They extended Reels from 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes, but that's where they drew the line. If it's longer than 3 minutes, they ain't pushing it out to more people. And so Instagram is really all about short form content. And in terms of the length of your content, there's this great rule. The name of it was come up with by one of our Insta Club Hub students. It's called the mini skirt rule. And the mini skirt rule is the rule for how long your posts should be. And this is specifically for Instagram, but it's for how long should your reels be? How many slides should there be in your carousel? How long should your caption be? And the mini skirt rule is this. The miniskirt should be long enough to cover what you need to cover, but short enough to hold attention. To say it another way, long enough to cover the important bits, but not any longer than that. So basically, there is no magic one-size-fits-all miniskirt. There is no magic one-size-fits-all length for your content. You might have to make a 47-second video to get your point across, but during that 47-second video, don't be redundant. Don't use the same word 4 different times, saying it the same way with different synonyms. Don't repeat the same sentence. Basically, with every word, with every sentence, with every clip of your video, ask yourself, is this absolutely necessary? Does this encourage someone to keep watching the next second? Or is this a part that is redundant? Is this a part that could be boring? Is this a part that is just unnecessary? Long enough to cover what you need to cover, short enough to hold attention.
Dan Kennedy had a quote, which was, don't say blah, blah, blah when blah is enough.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So again, that's really the quantity piece is the more you post, the more you grow, start with what you can sustain and then figure out ways to scale up that number. The quality piece, there's a lot more that could go into it, right? There's a lot of different things that we could consider. I would say the number one most important thing to consider is the hook. The opening sentence, the first 3 seconds of your video or the first slide in your slideshow. The hook is everything. If you cannot hook people, I don't care how valuable the rest of your content is, the hook is absolutely everything. And so success leaves clues. Look around you, look outside of your industry for what's grabbing your attention, what's hooking you in, what is encouraging you to keep watching. And I would say put the majority of your time, energy, and effort on improving and refining your hooks. If you aren't getting the views you feel like you deserve, your hooks are probably to blame. That's usually the most important part that I would recommend focusing on. But the more broad strategy for the quality of your content and the kinds of posts to make.
Hold on, I gotta double click on hooks first. So,
oh yeah, go for it.
I know you like mini skirts, but how long should the hook be? What's the time range for a hook?
I have a general recommendation: 5-8-5, 5 to 8 words, 5th grade reading level. 5 to 8 words, 5th grade reading level. 5 to 8 words, because if you go more than 8 words, it's like, think about your headline on a newspaper. If you pick up a newsletter or on a newspaper and it's like more than 8 words, it's like a super long sentence. You never see a 10-word headline on a newspaper. And at the same time, very rarely do you see less than 5 words. 5 to 8 is kind of that sweet spot where you can get a message across, create some curiosity, and not be too short, not too long. And 5th grade reading level at a maximum, like maybe even 3rd grade or dumber reading level. Not because your followers are dumb, but just because they're distracted. We live in a day and age where everyone is so beyond distracted. And so the more simplified you can make your hook with the words you're saying, the more you can dumb it down, the more likely someone it is to understand it and to continue watching.
That's so nice of you. I don't know. I think most people are stupid.
I listen, I have to tell my audience that they're not. And listen, I have to say, listen, your audience is not dumb, but we need to dumb it down for them just in case.
I didn't say your audience. That was a very broad statement.
Yeah,
certainly not my audience.
No, I do. Listen, and we don't need to get into the bigger conversation about media literacy rates declining and all of that, but dumb it down and keep it simple.
Yeah, no, I think to the point of everything that you're saying, I say this quite a bit, certainly to my team internally, and often when I'm talking to people. But one of the most difficult things to do is to take a complex topic and simplify it. And the reason that people don't do a great job with content that they create is because it's hard to create a really good complex topic and make it simple. And you are doing a good job right now of creating frameworks for people that allow them to follow that path. So I think that's great. So quality is what we're on. You've got the open hook, which is 5 to 8 words. What was the last 5?
5th grade reading level.
5th grade reading level. Right. That was the point.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So that's the hook.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I do think like it's the curse of knowledge, right? We forget what it was like to be a beginner. We don't know what we didn't once know. And so really just simplifying it, use ChatGPT, use AI, ask a beginner, look at the words and the questions that your audience is using to help you gauge where they're at and what they truly know versus what they don't. But to go back to the point of quality content, if your goal is growth, if your goal is views and getting more attention, attraction for your business on Instagram or really on any social, I would focus on creating share-worthy content And share-worthy content is quite simply the posts that are worthy of being shared. And when I say shared, I mean sent from one friend to another. Earlier, we talked about DMs, and I said, 60 times more content is sent via DM every day than is posted to the feed. Listen, the algorithm is not perfect. It is improving. It's much better than it was ever before, but it's not perfect, right? I get recommended posts all day in my feed. Some of them are engaging, some of them not so much. Some of them I click not interested in because I'm like, what the heck is this? But while we're having this conversation right now, Brad, I can guarantee you my wife has probably sent me a few TikToks. She's probably sent me a few reels. And those posts that she has shared with me are going to be perfect. They're going to be hilarious. They're going to be super relatable. They're going to be highly engaging. It's going to be something that's happening in my area that's like a new business opening that I need to, a new restaurant I need to go try. The kinds of posts that are being sent from one person to another, or one person to a group chat, or one person to their colleague, those are the posts that get the most views, that get the most interactions, that reach the target audience the easiest and the most. And so optimizing for shares and creating share-worthy posts is really the ultimate growth hack that can kind of allow you to give the middle finger to the algorithm and say, I don't need you to show me to the right people. My followers will show me to the right people.